welcome. You're watching your favorite show on the weekend on Money Nine Market Masterclass. I'm Sakshi Batra, and on this show, we get you introduced to market experts so that you can learn from their experience and their advice as to how should you proceed with your money, your investments in the financial market space. Joining in is a very special guest today, Mr. Mayuresh Joshi from William O'Neill India joins in. Mr. Joshi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining in on this very, very special show. Let me begin by first understanding from you, how are you looking at the markets currently? Are we in for a pause after this huge rally that we've seen in FY21? Or are we going to retreat a bit? Or will this market continue to climb all more so worry even now?
Afternoon, Sakshi. I think the global cues have been extremely supportive at this point of time. So if you look at the US markets, I think the deficit spending that they are running into can very well run over the next 1.5 years. I think a lot of experts in the US feel, at least till the first half of 23, the market should probably be in fine fettle, assuming what you're probably seeing in terms of spending coming back. The vaccination drive, the hope thereof is that by September, most vaccinations should be over. Therefore, I think if you look at cruise bookings as an example for the next year, they've already started picking up steam. So I think the US economy is in fine fettle in terms of deficit spending that we are expected to see, both on the infrastructure side as well as the consumer discretionary side with the checks that have been given out. Europe is limping back slowly and steadily, and though bond yields are trying to reflect some element of pressure that can come through in terms of the inflationary risks, I think growth will probably take precedence. Now we come back to our own context, leaving the global context aside for a minute. I think the rise in COVID cases clearly is acting to be a dampener for the move that is expected to be supportive of global cues for our markets as well. If you probably look at Sakshi, the kind of commentaries that have come through as a precursor for Q4 earnings, the commentaries have been very good, which leaves the foundation that numbers for Q4 across sectors should be good. However, I think with the pandemic and the partial lockdowns, does it create some kind of an aberrant in terms of slowdown and growth clawing back a tad bit? I think that is an apprehension that is probably getting played out. But the RBI in its policy meet was very clear that growth should probably still be there. And even the OECD and the World Bank and the IMF have probably forecasted India's GDP growth, even if it comes off a tad bit, with all these assumptions, to be the best when it comes to all countries in the next 2 years. So yeah, I think maybe a patchy phase, volatile phase over the next few weeks. But as cases come down and as earnings become supportive for the market, my own sense is that leaders and top performing stock within those leading sectors should rebound very quickly.
Okay, but yeah, I wanted to take this point forward of the COVID-19 cases because the entire commentary and the scenario seems to have taken a shift. Like about a month or say 6 weeks back, we were seeing that, and we were seeing all the narrative being that India has perhaps done much better as respect to the other countries when it comes to the COVID situation. It and also it is time to look at these cyclicals, the industrials, the economy coming back on track. But right now, just because of the second wave and the kind of record numbers that we are seeing on an everyday basis, the cases have even beat US and other countries as well, with the highest number of cases coming in. It's a completely different kind of narrative. So how should investors take this? Will this be a long-term dampener? Should this dampener, even if it actually causes some more hurt to the market sentiment, should that be taken in a positive stride as an opportunity for the long term?
Oh, absolutely, and I believe so. I think that there will be opportunities that will get presented because of this upheaval or the volatility that you see. Now, any beta correlated sector which is highly correlated with how the economy progresses will obviously feel the pinch, actually. So I think if you're probably looking at financial services, when you're looking at NBFCs, when you're probably talking about autos or even real estate, that is closely binded to how the economic growth probably takes place. Because of the COVID, as I mentioned in my opening remarks, there might be a tad bit of a pullback that might happen, but industrial activity is still continuing pretty strongly. What you've also seen in terms of disbursements growth, specifically for the financial services sector or the financial sector as a whole, might come off a tad bit in Q1 to what the expectations were. But I think once you start readjusting that, and if you probably assume, and the probability probably stays in favor that the second half recovery can be even faster, because even we are vaccinating at a very, very fast pace, Sakshi, and as the vaccination drive picks up further steam in the next few months, I think it's just a matter of time. So I think the adjustment will probably happen for the beta correlated sectors in the next few months. If they do correct, I think leaders within these spaces will probably become buying opportunities, but we need to probably time it in the next few months per se. Again, valuations have become a little bit expensive for all these sectors as well. So if they come off a tad bit, or if these stocks pull back to their 50 DMAs, I think they become better opportunities as well. So right now, I think that market is probably in a very classical defensive mode. So I think IT, where the numbers are expected from the coming week, some element of
Yeah.
pharma, and to a certain extent, metals have been doing phenomenally well.
Right, right. Absolutely. And I wanted to take this point forward because you've been talking about earnings and the kind of positive commentary that's floating it right ahead of the Q4 numbers as well. We always talk about and we always give preference to the first time investors, the retail investors who just entered, who do not know how to go ahead in this financial markets and in this complex world to make things simpler. And, expert advice definitely works from you. So I wanted to ask you, for those investors who are still sitting on the sidelines, who have already seen that the markets are still at a near high, they want them to cool down, they have a wait and watch approach. What would you advise to them? Is it a time to just wait for the right opportunities to get into those quality names and those big large cap names that you're talking about, or is it time enough that right ahead of the earnings we should take an aggressive plunge because the earnings are anyways going to be good?
So I think you have to have a very, very stock specific approach in these markets. Again, as I said, over the next few months, maybe those classic defensives come to the fore, but the opportunities will come through in leading sectors which are highly correlated to the economy in the next few weeks and months itself, which include the likes of banking, financial services, cement, infrastructure, because that is where I think the government spending will also come through, and where the economy hinges upon in terms of full earnings recovery will obviously depend upon financial services as the backbone for the recovery there.
Okay, so you've taken these important names of the sectors that one should definitely keep on their radar as and when we move forward into the earnings season. But what are the tips and tricks? If you could help all our viewers understand, what are the tips and tricks to understand how to go about and approach this earnings season? If I want to take positions right ahead of the earnings in these particular sectors that you've talked about, what are the things I should take down and note and then decide whether I should go for these particular companies?
So, Sakshi, again, I think let me give you a few examples. IT sector as a whole, right? It has been in strong, strong momentum over the last few weeks. Now, the general consensus out here is that the commentaries surrounding revenue growth, whether it's in dollar terms or constant currency, should be very, very good. With what you've seen with the pandemic, with what Gartner has come out with their estimates in terms of IT spending forecasts, 8.5% for 21, 5.5% for FY22 as well. And with the COVID pandemic, ensuring an accelerating digitalization across companies, across sectors, I think IT will be in focus. So I think two, three important factors. I think management commentaries in terms of how they're probably perceiving revenue growth to take place. B, the order books at hand itself. And C, I think the guidance that they're probably given in terms of EBITDA and the EBITDA performance itself. I think if these three elements come together for the sector as a whole, along with the other perspective and aspects that the markets are already looking at. And if there is a significant outbeat in terms of what the street had pegged in, I think you've probably got the next few quarters where leading sectors in the IT sector should do well. I'll give you one more example. I think if you're probably looking at the FMCG sector as an example again, right? I think in-house consumption, expectations in terms of volume growth, and a lot of these FMCG companies have boards for themselves. Again, examples. Toothpastes, Colgate, you probably got hair oils, you've got shampoos, you've got HUL having that niche segments as well. Individually, I think how are management scoping up in terms with input costs? Is volume coming back? Are there supply side constraints? Because FMCG companies ultimately get bind together in terms of volume-led price growth, which creates that operating leverage and strong cash flows on their balance sheet, which they anyway exhibit. So the commentaries are hinging on these aspects together in their earnings forecasts. I think you've probably got some leaders in these sectors which can do well. I think there is a lot more about other sectors, but I'll just stop here.
Absolutely. No, you've explained very, very simply, which all the viewers will definitely appreciate as to how should you really go about understanding the management commentary, the earnings, and then take a pick as to will the particular stock really give good returns to your portfolio, is suited for your portfolio or not. What about some of the vaccine plays now that we are talking about, the COVID-19 second wave coming in, and we need to vaccinate at a much bigger pace, at a higher pace from now on. We are increasingly seeing talk of how many more companies should now come in, join in. Maybe we should invite more companies coming in into India also, give their vaccines apart from the two that we are right now inoculating our population with. Any vaccine particular names that you think should be on the radar of investors going ahead? Because this is something that is going to play as a theme going forward.
Absolutely, Sachi. So I think I can divide this into three broad plays, right? The core pathological players, so players like Dr. Lal, Petropolis, Thyrocare. I think you've seen a huge rush happening for obvious reasons. The tests being conducted. Yes, I think the rates have come down to 500 odd rupees, and the COVID test still become 25-30% of the overall test that has been done. But I think the creation of fear that has probably happened, and for rightful reasons as well. I think pathological players should benefit going forward as well, because I think there'll be more specialist testing that will happen even at corporate level and individual level as well. So Dr. Lal's is something that we've obviously liked. It has moved up significantly. There is no two ways about it. But this is something that we have been recommending at our global level to our clients as well. But the others might also do equally well. But the movement has been pretty sharp. So from a fresh investment perspective, obviously, I think you need for some pullbacks on these stocks. The others are obviously hospital stocks. And hospital stocks also are expected to do well, not just because of the patient admission that is happening because of COVID, but I think the non-admissions for the opt-out surgeries, which have now got delayed at some point of time as COVID probably comes to an end. These opting out of surgeries will start coming in, which have a high EBITDA margin. The average revenue per operating bed is also very high, and therefore selective leaders within these spaces can do well. And a proxy play obviously becomes pharma companies. So I think with the kind of vaccinations that are coming through pharma companies as well and their core portfolios as well, I think a few leading pharma companies, API players specifically, who are backward integrated, where margins are strong and expectations of strong ROEs take place, become very, very critical and important. So I can break it up into these three broad segments which can.
Absolutely appreciate you doing that as well. But for all the investors who are just taking the plunge, perhaps the first time investors, if you could break it down further, we always talk about having a stock, select stock pitch, and have that very select approach towards whenever we are going for a particular sector, also or a theme as well. Like we talked about the pharma, healthcare, and the vaccine theme as well. What should be the stock picking strategy? How do you select these kind of stocks? What are the three or five things that you would have on top of your mind that investors can use?
So three, four things again, Sachi. I think one, I think how has been their overall earnings growth, not just for the preceding 2-3 quarters, but for the 2-3 years as well. So I think at O'Neill, what we look at is how earnings has probably played out, not just for the preceding quarters, which might be a little bit misleading, but is an important aspect as well. So the current earnings growth is very, very important. But annualized earnings growth over the last 3 years, say they're growing at 20-25%, means that the company is doing something right. The second element, obviously, is strong institution holding. So I think if the institution investors are holding on to the stock, if the entry of institution holders is consistently coming into that stock under consideration, considering the strong earnings trend that it has reflected over the past few quarters and years, I think that becomes an obvious sign as well. The third obviously becomes the return ratios. With strong earnings, I think the return on capital employed and return on earnings become extremely, extremely critical. I'll tell you why this is important, because as top line growth happens and as bottom line growth start taking place, I think the kind of earnings that get plowed back into the business post dividend payouts, which obviously is also a very, very lucrative thing for investors, I think the kind of return on capital or return on invested capital and return on equity that these businesses can generate and quantify and compound, I think that will become a huge, huge sign for investors to probably look at good quality earnings compounding growth stories taking place. Last but not the least, I think corporate governance and what you're probably talking about in terms of management control, I think become extremely, extremely important. I think if there is any patchiness related to corporate governance or any issues in the past as well, I think that really becomes a red flag.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Joshi, for joining us on this very special show and breaking it down for all our viewers as to how to approach this earning season, which are the themes that are going to play out in the months to follow, and how to have this stock selecting approach whenever you're picking up stocks for your portfolio and for well generating portfolio at that as well. With that, we wrap up this edition. A whole lot is coming up on the other side, so do stay tuned on to Money9.com.